Hey guys, welcome to our opening round. This is a round of 32 of Base Wars Qualifier number 6 here on the northern side of Polar Night. In the red Zergy McFerguson trunks, it's Erik! And here on the bottom side of that very same map, in our blue Protoss trunks, representing Team IVD, a team that really breaks the way as far as sponsoring tournaments and stuff. They've now become a professional team as well. Really good group of guys all together, so it's going to be interesting to see what he throws out there. It's our blue Protoss, Thunder! Wonder if he considered that his name is Blue Thunder. That's so awesome. Anyway, just having very standard openers coming out for both of these players. This is a Forge First build out of Thunder that looked to be a 13 or 14 Forge, so not really planning to do any cannon rushing, which is good considering that his spawning pool it is first. If he had gone hatch first, he'd be more vulnerable to something like a cannon rush, not so much with the spawning pool. Now, there's a little bit of a fight here for the natural of our Zerg player, and he does manage to get that hatchery down. The Pro is going to be forced to just go ahead on home. Actually, he's going to stick around, take a couple shots here from the drone. But, yeah, this is just shaping up to be your normal standard setup period for a Zerg versus Protoss. Lings are in production. These are mostly going to be scouting lings. Of course, Erik has actually scouted with his overlord that this is a fast expand here by Thunder, so he'll know that he can safely take a third base anytime he would like. These lings mostly just going to be to scout around for pylons, for hidden probes, crouching probe, hidden pylon kind of thing, and maybe to hold the Zelnaga towers. So the hatchery now finishing up here for Erik. One interesting thing to always wonder about are the gas geysers. When will he take his gas? He is taking his third right now, which may mean that he's going to delay the gas geysers till about 5.5 minutes, take 2 of them at once. That should keep him safe from any mid-game timing attacks that the Protoss may throw at him, but we're not really going to know what the Protoss is planning until the Cybercore finishes. It has not even begun yet, so there's no real tech decision coming out of Thunder. He's just going for a very economic play. You can see that in the fact that he has 6 workers, now 5 workers ahead of his opponent. His opponent has chosen to make 6 lings. That actually also offsets the number of drones that he has. He could have, in fact, 2 to 3 more drones, now 4 more drones, had he made them instead of the lings. Now there's that Cybercore going up. Erik just out of range of scouting that, but he should know the timing of it. He is planting these overlords in great positions to scout for any proxy pylons on the fringes of his base. He's also knocking down the ice here at his potential 4th location. It makes a great line if you actually zoom in here on the minimap, that you can basically see all of the Zerg base here in one giant line, put spine crawlers up along that line on creep, and then defend all 4 bases with this one nice stronghold. Very awesome stuff. That's one of the reasons I love this map. The other reason, of course, being so many counterattack paths for the Zerg player. Of course, Mothership Core coming out, that is going to be the beginning of harassment here for Protoss, so we'll see how Erik prepares to deal with that. Will a Zealot and Stalker be sent with a Mothership Core, or is it just going to be the MST by itself? Ash is the casting kitty trying to get his word into the cast, but unfortunately, he doesn't have very much to say. Roach Warren about halfway done. He meowed when I said that. But anyways, the Roach Warren about halfway done. Metabolic boost starting. Still no lair just yet out of Erik. Some players favor the Hydralisks very quickly. Looks like Erik is not one of those players. We'll see how that works out for him. We've got the Overlord coming in now, trying to scout around, making sure there's no Stargate or anything crazy going up. Nope, it's just Fourth Gate with no extra gateways in position. This may indeed. Oh, Queen actually taking a lot of damage here at the 3rd base. Nice harassment. The Mothership Core with 2 Zealots. Going to make very short work of the units here. Wow, I can't believe I almost missed that. Anyways, 2 Stargates are queued up in back of this. This is going to be a great decision here by Thunder, as this is forcing a lot of mineral-based units out of Erik, and that's going to mean he's going to have to focus more on drones after this and less on tech. That gives Thunder a very sizable advantage here. Great job positioning these Zealots as well. The concave, it cannot surround the Zealots. The Lings can only get 1 or 2 Lings attacking that at a time, and will lose a lot more Lings as a result. Now, of course, that was a great recall, and this Mothership Core with the Sentry support going to be able to take this Overlord out. Pop! Erik very, very strongly supply capped. He only had 1 Overlord in production there. He is going to have to queue up some more. He's stuck at 70-70 and still has not queued up another Overlord. This is actually really bad for him. Hydralisks Den finishing. He is still not building any Overlords. Oh my god. Oh my god, guys. Finally, 3 Overlords in production now. That was... wow. Okay, that's going to be very hard to come back from. The thing is, though, Thunder has not taken a 3rd base yet. So Erik is going to have to basically just stay alive. He's got 3 base to his opponent's 2 base. Exactly what he wants. He has the potential to take a 4th base as well. And here we go. This is one of those counterattack paths I was talking about. He's checking to make sure there is not a 4th base here for the Protoss. And now going to try to sneak in here and take out some of these rocks. Or sneak in there when the rocks are knocked down. But he slays his opponent there. And he's just going to keep moving back and forward, trying to catch his opponent off guard. Will it work? Or are the force fields going to stop him? Oh, yeah, he sees that his opponent knows. Zealot legs now in production for Thunder. He's got +1 shield on the way. Some Void Rays in production as well. So he is going heavy into the Stargate with Zealot charge for support. Phoenix going to be a great asset here for clearing Overlords off the map, continuing the supply block technique on Erik. Yep, 1 Overlord, 2 Overlords, 3 Overlords go down, and there we go. He cannot build any more units until he queues up some more Overlords. He's still somehow managing to keep his minerals down, but now he's floating up to 600. Still no Overlords in production. He is starting to crumble on the back of this Phoenix harassment, but the Spore Crawlers are now in position to bait away some of these Phoenixes. More Void Rays in production. The Phoenix is just the precursor to the main attack, which will include these Void Rays. Void Rays, of course, great against Hydralisks if there are enough of them to build their charge up. Hydralisks do linear damage. Void Rays do exponential. The more Void Rays there are, the more deadly it's going to be for these Hydralisks. He really wants something like Infestors to deal with this, but he is just too far behind his opponent technologically. Now he is scouting these Void Rays. He's got some Hydralisks here, but there's just not enough units. He is sacrificing them to the Protoss. Yeah, just picked up straight away by the Phoenix. And these Void Rays doing a lot of damage to the Roaches as well. There we go. There's the Infestation Pit. He recognizes the Void Ray threat. Infestors, the key unit to taking out Void Rays. Those fungals do so much damage. +1 weapons on the way now for our Protoss. It is unusual to see that upgraded so late in the game. That is usually one of the first upgrades for the Protoss, but instead he went for the +1 flying attacks and +1 shields, which of course really benefits those Void Rays. Templar Archive, of course, now about a third of the way done. High Templar, key to upholding late game Zerg. Now, this 4th base is going to be completely devastated. Yep, there we go. There's the cancel. Lings get in, and they are going to manage to get out. But he lost a lot of Lings in that attack. Of course, it was nowhere near as valuable as that expansion, though. In any case, it is 2 base Protoss in the process of taking a 3rd against 4 bases Zerg. Erik, despite all the trouble that he has run into with the supply blocks and the constant harassment of his mineral items, he is in a good spot economically. So if he can continue to hold on, he may still have a chance in this game. He is still floating a lot of resources, but some key injects are all it's really going to take to deal with that. And these Phoenix are hunting around looking for anything that they can devastate, but the Hydralisks are there with some Spore Crawler support, and one of the Phoenix do go down. Fungal growth gonna become a major issue as pathogen glands does complete 3 Infestors on the way. He does not need many, he just needs enough to hold the Void Rays in position while the Hydralisks outrange them. With Grooved Spines upgraded, Hydralisks do outrange Void Rays just a tiny bit. So fungal growthing and then attacking him with the Hydras will completely demolish those Void Rays. Now we do have a counterattack going into that 4th base of our Protoss, but there are cannons in position both on the low ground and the high ground. So these Lings are going to have a hard time. Zealot's being warped in. He's choosing to go for the probes. Great decision here, but ooh, good burrow. Will his opponent build a photon cannon and leave these units to wait? How will he choose to deal with these Lings, or will he forget about them? Oh, it looks like a High Templar. Going to be sent in here to do some... No, he's not going to storm it. Just going to be the cannons. All right, so Blink is on the way. We've got some Locusts being upgraded now. Locusts great against Stargate units. Stargates do not have AoE, so it becomes really difficult to deal with the Locusts once you have, 12 to 20 Swarm Hosts. Very devastating. +2 ranged attack on the way now for Erik, who's really been focusing on the Roaches, the Hydras, and now the Swarm Hosts, so that +1 upgrade is doing wonders here. +2 attack upgrade, +1 armor coming in for Thunder. So he's definitely maintaining his upgraded advantage, but Erik still has a sizable economic advantage. Unfortunately, he's not utilizing it, floating 2,200 minerals, now getting that down to about 1,000. He is a little low on gas here, but having a nice sized mineral bank isn't a bad thing as long as you're keeping your gas low. You can always turn those into spine crawlers and then just replenish the drones at will. 7 Swarm Hosts are in production now, and Swarm Hosts are very mineral intensive, so it's great to continue stockpiling those minerals. A 5th base now being taken here for IVD Thunder, or I'm sorry, Erik. 4th base for IVD Thunder. These guys are going to take this into the super late game. 4 base versus 5 base. A 6th base now in production for Erik. My God, these guys are taking it as deep as it can go. Dark Shrine now on the way. 5 gateways finishing up here. And we have a fleet beacon. We may actually see carriers this game, guys. 3 more Swarm Hosts coming in, but actually, if that fleet beacon finishes and carriers are able to get in production, the Swarm Hosts, while good, aren't going to be enough. Swarm Hosts, of course, cannot take out carriers, cannot even take out the free units of carriers. So it will be a ground versus air battle that, unfortunately, Swarm Hosts are doomed to lose. 6 Spine Crawlers are in production now. This is going to be a great outpost if he can manage to establish it before the attack commences. Here we go, 1 spine crawler left. He has managed to finish 5 of them. Extra spine crawlers going up now in waves. A couple of spore crawlers as well. He is anticipating Dark Templar, which is great because that's exactly what's coming out of 2 Stargates in production. But here is the main attack. Archon, Void Ray, nice storm there, and a lot of Zealots here as well. And he does manage to snipe 1 of those bases, but he doesn't want to engage too deeply on creep, so great usage here. Oh, those Broodlings almost taking out a High Templar. A little bit unfortunate that they did not get the kill, but 10 Swarm Hosts are in production, so we'll have plenty of free unit kills here very shortly. Aspire on the way now for Erik, so he is going to be planning a Muta or Brood Vortex switch here in the future. Of course, 2 Tempests are in production, so even if that were an option, it will be quickly devastated, because Tempests are exactly what you want against Brood Lords, but not against Mutalisks. Alright, so now we have the free units finally coming into play here for Erik, who is almost out of 200 supply. He will want to replenish that supply, maybe throw away some of these more expendable units like some of these Hydralisks perhaps. Either way, Thunder taking a lot of damage here from the Locust. Now, we've got a little bit of engagement here on Creep. These Phoenix trying to snipe out some of these Overlords, but Spore Crawlers and Queens doing a lot of damage to the Phoenix. Will he get the kill? No, it does not look like it. He could have transfused that, but not quite in time. It's okay, though, because he is so close to 200 that it doesn't even matter. So many battles going on. All across the map. Pylon over here on the left-hand side, and an engagement here at the 4th base of Thunder. Wow. Okay, so a lot of these pylons are getting fried, but some of the Dark Templar killing this off. Swarm hosts sending in their units as well, going straight for this Nexus and pylon combination. Tempest coming in to help deal with some of these swarm hosts, but these are free units against real units. Either way, Erik comes out ahead. Now over here at one of Erik's bases, there are Hydralisks and Queen taking a lot of damage here at the Spore Crawlers. Great stuff here by Erik. Again with the Swarm Hosts over here on the Archon. The Archon actually about to fall. He does lose a High Templar as well. And this Nexus is so low on energy. Thunder cannot retreat these units, but he also can't abandon this Nexus. So unfortunate here for Thunder. Now Erik taking advantage of his chaos, just continually throw down more and more bases, preferably getting his gas up. It's really the gas that becomes his limiting factor into the late game, and he's definitely going to want to do some Mutatech switches. He's got 2 more Spires coming up. That means one can turn into a greater Spire, and both can continue doing upgrades as well. He's really going to commit to that air after losing this army in the most economic way possible. The Great Big Mothership actually managing to pop out here. This will be great for the mobility of Thunder, and in fact, it would require Overseers to accompany these Swarm Hosts to actually be able to do damage with this Mothership here. So it's going to require Erik to choose a different attack path here for these Swarm Hosts. Dark Templar doing some great damage here at this bottom right base. Nice zoom in there, Scott. And here we go, more Swarm Hosts doing more damage to real units. These Stalkers melting like butter. These players floating so many resources just due to the late game nature of this epic 1v1 battle. And more Swarm Hosts coming in. Ooh, a probe trying to sneak in here. One probe is going to manage to get through. Only Spore Crawlers left here to defend. Here's a Queen, though, and he gets the scout off. He sees both Spires. He's going to be a little bit confused by that. And more of these probes getting sent in, I guess. Oh, he's trying to free up supply so he can replenish with better stuff. He doesn't need this many probes anymore. He probably wants about 65 or so. Okay, so Locust now coming in on the Stalkers yet again. He's losing the Stalkers as cost efficient as possible. This will allow him to replenish his supply on more Stargate-based units or another Mothership core. And here we go, more free units. Archon's coming in. That is another thing he can replenish his supply on. Now 4 Vipers are in production. This is going to be key to dealing with the air composition of Protoss. Skytoss very weak against things that make their attack melee. Air units are not great in melee. Don't know why it works out like that, but it does. Now we do have another base taken here by Thunder and a lot of harassment at one of Erik's taken bases, but there's a lot of static defense here, and it looks like this one Spine Crawler will fall, but he manages to break the back of this Zealot attack. Yeah, that rhymed, guys. That was awesome. And Thunder pushing here onto the creep. This is a pretty exciting match, actually going every which way. Swarm Host waiting for the Locust to send in. There go the Locust. Now the Hydralisks and the Corruptors managing to snipe out a couple of Void Rays and a Tempest. Tempest not quite falling, but with that slow movement, the Corruptors may be able to snipe it out. Oh, that long range from the other Tempest doing great. Now there's a great abduct, and he does get the kill. There we go. A couple Vipers falling for it though. 3 more Vipers in production to rally that out. Erik still with a huge tank. Thunder, not so much. Both players are low on gas, so Erik can replenish on things like Spine Crawlers or Lings. Unfortunately, he does not have very many Ling upgrades, just the armor upgrade for them. So they'll take a little while to kill, but they're not doing too much damage while they're alive. Locust coming in here, the greatest thing to assault Proton Cannon defenses, of course, are 3 units, because even if you lose them, you just get more of them. 2-2 upgrades for flying in process for Erik. More Spine Crawlers and Spore Crawlers in production as well. This guy definitely staying on top of his mineral expenditure. And we've got these High Templar in production now. For our Protoss, another Warp Prism as well. The harassment potential here for Thunder is out of this world. These Dark Templar taking huge advantage of this extra base. And these guys have bases that are so close to each other, just it doesn't even count as a proxy anymore. It's just warping stuff into your base, walking across the street, and attacking your opponent. It's great. Now the Queens, of course, coming in to try to deal with the rest of these High Templar. Of course, the Spine Caller slightly out of position, but that's okay. One of these guys are going to have to make a move. This is what we in the business call a standoff. 1 base, 2 base, 3 base, 5 base. Waking up when the game ends. That's culture for you. Yeah, Zerg vs Protoss does tend to drag on a little bit, but it's a great match. Lots of exciting action. Come on, get a transfuse! Erik, you make me sad. You make me a sad panda. Transfuse, 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 trans! Maybe he wants the supply. Who knows? I would have still liked to see a transfuse there. Wow, these swarm hosts continuing to work on this Nexus. And there's a little bit of harassment going on in the main. Archon Zealot taking out most of the tech structures here for Erik. This is not good. You really need a lot of defenses where your tech structures are. He's going to lose the Hive. He's going to lose Roachborn, Spire, things like that. If he does not get the units here, again, the tech structures of a Zerg are so important. But he is actually so consumed with a battle at the front that he is still not making his tech structures elsewhere. He is not trying to save it. He's not doing anything in regards to it. The mothership does fall. That was a great abduct, a great way to counter the mothership core. But again, at what cost? There are roaches here trying to defend, but just not enough of them, and he has lost so much of his tech structures. He does have the infestation pit on the way now. He does have a lair, but again, he has lost the Hive. He can't make an Ultralisk Cavern. He can't get the Greater Spire. He's got 3/3 upgrades though. So that's pretty good. 3/3 flying attack upgrades, 3/2 ground. Can't really complain with that. Loving Thunder's constant harassment though. There are zealots on every side of the map hitting in 3 different locations. Even here in the bottom right, we've got the Oracles and Tempest. Oh, they're on the Oracles. I'm sorry, that's the Void Ray. Tempest, Void Rays, Archons, Stalkers. So much Protoss stuff. Now, some of the Tempests are getting picked off, but on the other side of the map, Archon Zealot. You don't really anticipate a Protoss player being this mobile with his units, but that is exactly what you're seeing here. And the Swarm Hosts doing so much damage. They've been worth their weight in gold this entire game. In fact, if you click some of them, kills, 9 kills, 4 kills, 8 kills, 3 kills, 9, 22, 8. I mean, so many kills on these Swarm Hosts. And 18 Corruptors are in production now. We've got 2 more Swarm Hosts. He is continually making those 3/3 upgrades I keep talking about. Almost here. 2 carriers are in production, and we've even got a strange, never-before-seen upgrade. Graviton Catapult. Now, this is going to make things like observers and stuff a little bit faster. Okay, the Swarm Hosts have finally taken this little base out, but there are so many other bases here for our Protoss. He is continuing to just make probes, make bases. This is exactly how you play a late-game StarCraft 2 match. Never give up your resources, stay defensive, and poke your opponent. Never full-in outcharge. However, it is a very difficult game to cast, I must be honest. This is Base Wars Qualifier number 6, guys. If you like this, you will definitely enjoy the rest of this tournament. There was always non-stop action in these events. How many Archons is that? Oh my god! That is 8 Archons with a lot of Void Rays, a lot of charge loss, and a lot of Tempests there to support it, but there's so much static defense, Queens, and other stuff. Just straight up Zerg stuff. It is the Swarm living up to its name. Quite honestly, I'd love to see Erik just trade out a lot of his current units for a huge Mutatech switch. He's got the 3/3 upgrades now, and Thunder's just not prepared for it. You know, Archons can be magic boxed, and that would basically be the end of Thunder here. Archon carrier. The most Zerg players at the highest level do tell you to basically GG when carriers show up. There's no way to beat them. If you can beat them, you have to target them directly. Make sure you're not attacking other units or they're flying annoying free units. I love how Erik is choosing his engagement wisely. He's not committing haphazardly. He actually sacrificed that base, just choosing not to engage. He's got a huge number of corruptors. That is 33 corruptors plus 13 swarm hosts. So you'll have enough air army to take out a lot of these carriers very quickly. It's all going to come down to, will you have enough swarm hosts to hold the ground beneath those corruptors, and what will you transition to after the corruptors do their job, because that's a lot of free supply just floating around in the air there. So space being retaken now by Erik, again with the choice not to commit. Thunder basically has no option except to try to clear out some of the creep down here in the middle right of the bases. And here we go, the Archons moving in, the carriers as well, but Swarm Host Locusts are finally showing up. Some Archons taking a lot of damage. Will this Archon fall? No, not quite. More Swarm Hosts coming in, but he knows better than to try to engage that straight up. And we still got a little bit of harassment going on in one of the bases of Erik that has been eliminated. Still some gas that could be mined there, but the Zealots are making short work of that. And now that that has fallen, he's going to try and get into this tucked-in corner over here. Unfortunately, there's not very many resources here. There's no reason to try to defend that for Erik. Thunder trying to poke in here and deal with these Swarm Hosts. He is getting really close to the Swarm Hosts. This is not a good thing for Swarm Hosts, but we've got a lot of Corruptors here. He's got to make these Corruptors worth their weight in gold. Taking out one of these carriers, that was a great abduct. The Viper Corruptor combo are very devastating if you can get good abductions. Here we go. Here goes another abduct. Boom. He misses that just slightly though, but coming around, swooping back in for a kill. That was a great job there. And it looks like there's only one carrier left. So Erik running kind of a shop on how to deal with carriers in this matchup. The Zealots, of course, still doing a lot of damage here to Erik though, with his 3 Spire build, which is also odd because there's only 2 upgrades you can get at once, and he doesn't have a greater Spire. But that's okay, he's the pro, I'm not. Locust taking out a lot of these Stalkers. Oh my god, this is such an intense game. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now we got another Mothership Core being queued up. Both these players at about 150 supply, not quite closing in on 200, and both starting to mine out all of their bases and lose their bank as well. Dark Templar going to take out this base yet again. That base has fallen more times than I care to count. And Overseer in production now. More Dark Templar taking advantage of both the natural and the third base of Erik. And here we go. We've got the Swarm Hosts trying to engage. Some Zealots taking out the Evolution Chambers as well. +3. Carapace not really seeming to be a priority for Erik though, so I don't know how much that was worth. Either way, he can take out this other one as well. But again, +3 Carapace does not seem like something Erik is interested in. IBD Thunder, though, the thing about him, though, is that he is still mining 1,500 minerals, 500 gas. He has 52 workers, more than his opponent. Erik has a strong army, but his opponent will continually get stronger, where Erik is basically stuck with what he's got. He needs to make it happen, but his army is so slow, and just not one you commit into with a straight up attack, that he doesn't have a viable option. His opponent is mining so much more, but there's not much he can do about it. And here goes the Stalker Carrier Tempest Archon mixture going up against these Locusts. Still not seeing any direct engagements here by Erik. He is biding his time. He does not feel the pressure. I'm not sure why. Alright, here we go. Nice abduct taking out that final carrier. And the Corruptor's bunching up again. He's basically waiting for the Swarm Host Locusts to come in. He's keeping the Corruptors parked over them, and then just abducting things on the back of that. It's really a great tactic. But still, As efficient as his tactic is, he is still not mining, and ultimately that's what this game is going to come down to. We've got 5 Stalkers, 3 Zealots rather, and a Dark Templar coming into this base, and this is the only mining base left for Thunder. So he has been trying to establish this. Unfortunately, his units just are not in a position to defend it. He really should just uproot all of his units, all his static defense, and bring it over here. This is where his units need to be. Because every time he loses that base, he gets further and further behind. And Erik has got 5, 10, 20 resources right now, minerals. 140, 200 income per cycle. This is just long distance mining at its finest here for Erik. And Thunder choosing to engage here in the middle right. This is a pretty intense engagement. The Stalkers just going head to head with these Locusts. Thunder knows he is mining and his opponent is not, so it doesn't really matter how cost efficient the Swarm Hosts are. As long as he's getting small victories, they are going to add up. Swarm Hosts trying to get up this hill to do damage. These guys are just so passive. Passive-aggressive. They're hitting in so many locations, you know, it's aggressive, but no big committals, no big attacks, no death ball. I never thought I'd complain about that, but here I am. Locust still getting a lot of free units here and free kills on these Stalkers. Probes getting sent right along the creep, down into the bottom right base. Corruptors getting pulled in a little bit by the Tempest. He's got to be careful not to attack if that's not what he wants. And yep, he picks off yet another Warp Prism and Tempest combo. Thunder floating quite a lot of resources. I would not be surprised to see a bunch more Photon Cannons and or Zealots produced. And Thunder continuing to push onto this creep. He knows that this is a war of attrition, that he is winning, and he is going to continue to press his advantage. Focus taking a lot of damage and continuing to siege this one base. This is so unfortunate for Thunder. He is trying to mine from these. The Swarm Hosts just won't let him. And then here are the Swarm Hosts on the defensive as well. They can be everywhere at once because there are Swarm Hosts. A lot of Zealots here trying to make sure that this base continues to stay down. Of course, the Swarm Hosts continuing their assault here, going so many places at once. Stalkers in huge numbers actually managed to blink up under here onto the Corruptors. And the Corruptors can do nothing about them being parked right there. These Spore Crawlers, of course, useless against Stalkers. They were very good against Phoenixes, very good against Void Rays, but Stalkers, Tempests, both are pretty much immune. 4 High Templar, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Stalkers now on way for IBD Thunder. And these Dark Templar are going to get cleaned up. Actually, these are Zealots. I was not looking closely. The Hive, of course, going to stay alive. We could definitely use a couple of transfuses there. If there are any Queens left on the map, let's double check. No Queens. That's so unfortunate here for our player. 50 Locusts, now 40 Locusts on the field. There's so many Swarm Hosts. .5 minutes into this game, we are still watching Swarm Host Locust creep crawl across this map. I think this is why people get so frustrated with Swarm Host gameplay. Overlord trying to spread some creep on an already existing base. Typically you want to do that before the base is laid down. Just a pro tip there, Overlord. And yet again, this base is being rebuilt now by Erik. He's got his units in a little bit of a better position. Hopefully he'll be able to hold it off at this stage. And now Mothership Core coming in for Thunder. Of course, Erik has the exact composition he would want to counter that, abduct into a huge group of clusters, of corruptors rather. Does a lot of damage. Now these locusts coming in here, just barely going to poke this Nexus before disappearing into the nether. Bling! And a couple of these locusts spawning out as well. Locusts going every which way. And here are the corruptors. Corruptors trying to buy a little bit of time while the swarm hosts spawn their locusts, but the locusts are going to spawn right on top of these stalkers. The stalkers, of course, right on top of the swarm hosts themselves. This is not going to be very good for our swarm hosts. Any kind of AoE, including storm, will help eliminate the swarm hosts as well as their locusts. Unfortunately for our Protoss player, the swarm hosts are not all in the same position. They are in fact leapfrogged, and that will ultimately allow the pushback for Erik to occur. Free units, free units. Spending energy on free units, free units. And in fact, he is going to lose some of the stalkers to these as well. But here goes the hive. Infestation Pit also following Infestation Pit, of course. Only way he could possibly produce Infestors. Infestors are great against Blink Stalkers, but I don't think even with Infestors it would be enough. Thunder definitely pulled ahead there in the mid game, and at this stage, he is just going to all out kill Erik. Erik went with a very mobile harassment-based build with the incorporation of Swarm Hosts into his composition, but now Thunder showing a little bit of the flaw of that composition and exactly what happens if you get the Swarm Hosts late and or forget to transition out of it. Either way though, Erik is never one to give up, so we continue to see him fighting for his life here in this exciting match. Now we do have 3 Infestors in production. He was able to rebuild that Infestation Pit. The Infestation Pit also going to be what allows him to make Swarm Hosts. So with some key fungal growths and the ability to hold the Stalkers in position while the Locusts do damage is going to be unfathomable in Erik's advantage. Right now, Locust doing a pretty good job zoning Thunder. He is being corralled into this one location. If he runs one way or another, he will intercept a lot of Swarm Hosts, and he can't blink directly down either for that exact same reason. What he does not know is that there are some Infestors to grab him just as soon as he blinks down. Either way, though, while he's holding this high ground, he is able to prevent mining of this low ground base. And Stalkers coming up here on the side. The Fungals definitely key there, holding 4 of them in position, but the Locusts were pulled back by accident. A little happy with that big box trigger finger. Blink Stalkers coming down here on the mineral line as well, taking out a lot of these drones. Some Infestarium being dropped, but unfortunately too late to save that hash rate. There's not very much infrastructure left here for Erik. He has lost all his tech and all his bases, with no hatchery left on the map and no ability to reproduce one. He is left with only what he has on the field, and he is currently 106 supply behind his opponent. Apparently still never one to give up, though. He is continuing his assault. Wow. So I think I've recapped this game pretty much, but let's go through some of the highlights. Erik played a very strong macro game. However, he was caught off guard by the heavy amount of Stargate. He was supply blocked almost indefinitely by Phoenix for quite some time. And then he committed way too late to Swarm Hosts. Then forgot to transition out of the Swarm Hosts. Zerg is a race that is based both on highly mobile, huge number of units, but also on the ability to constantly tech switch on changing those units as much as possible. You can see here in this replay, though, that the swarm hosts just were not enough. Once the Protoss player gets things like carriers or colossi or anything to that effect, it's just a total shutdown. Now, anyways, let's go ahead and get VIP into this call. And Drew, if you can update this everything real quick on the fly.
Yeah, I'm going to start with making sure we're up to date on the broadcast, and then I'll put his stuff in a second.
All right, cool.